heroes in the fight. Peacemakers gaining light so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace. Speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might. Trucks flying through the night. NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight. Peacemakers gaining life so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace. Speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our holy place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, feel the thrill, feel the chase. Victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste. In this high-octane haste, in this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream. This is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might. Push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight. Racing on with all our might. All our might. Thrill the place. Thrill the place. Thrill the place.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back in for another amazing night of racing action here with the HCK Beagles Racing League as these drivers get ready to rock and roll here in the Morphosis Machine LLC. They'll get lined up here on the front straightaway, ready for another great night of racing action as this season is quickly coming to a draw, and this is our first race of the second round of the playoffs. So for each and every one of these drivers, trying to find that extra little bit of speed, that extra little bit of luck, and trying to put yourself into either the win column or just into a good position for a good finish to try to lock your way in to our championship round in a couple weeks from now. So for a bunch of these drivers, they're looking to get it done. They're wanting some dubs, some good runs, some good points in their back pocket, and they may be able to find it here today as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and are ready to rumble here in this one. Is starting in that pole position in the Morphosis Machine, number 18. It is Jacob Grube who will start out in front. So Grube starts in that pole position. To his outside will be the Jegs.com number 45 of Chris Gilbert. Starting back in position number 3 in the HendrickCars.com number 5 ride, that is Nicholas Snyder, and to his outside in the Quick Trip number 1, it is Brad Lane. Starting in position number 5, looking for a good drive, it is the 75 of Mr. Bobby Blair, who will start in position number 5 on the speedway. To his outside will be the Waffle House number 14 of Kyle Wiggins. Starting back in 7th in the Richard Bradshaw number 20 ride, it is Jason LePan, and to his outside will be that Ridge Powersports KR Gutters number 77 of Brandon Domingue. Back behind him, a couple more of our Ridge Powersports rides. It is Ryan Peterson and Kyle Van Tassel. Rounding out our top 10 is our 11th place driver, Tim Blankenbeckler, not out there on the racetrack to start this feature event. As again, it is quality over quantity as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation, as we are quickly green flag racing here at the Milwaukee Mile, and out in front leading us down through 1 and out of 2, it is the Morphosis machine number 18 of Jacob Grube. Grube is out in front. He's got control of the race as he sees that 5 right at Nicholas Snyder trying to follow him right on past that 45 of Chris Gilbert. But for all these drivers, what they've got to be thinking in the back of their mind is that we got a lot of laps, we got a lot of time, there's probably going to be a lot of open racetrack. Now early on here, this initial start, maybe the closest a lot of these guys will be to a majority of their competition here this afternoon. As we see this race progress and we can start to see drivers pull away, other drivers will start to fall back. It'll make this racetrack, feel kind of empty because they'll be scattered all over the place out there on the speedway. They'll be looking to try to find their way forward. They'll be looking for that extra little bit. It may have to come not only out there on the racetrack, but they may have to gain those extra positions down pit side because, man, more than likely we're going to see probably a couple green flag pit stops here this afternoon. And if it's anything like our truck race from last night, we saw a ton of black flags down pit road. I know none of these drivers want to have that same fate, especially for our playoff contenders, knowing that if they do get a black flag, that man, you can quickly go a lap down here, as it's roughly, you're going to be 30 seconds or so down pit side, getting service, getting worked onto your race truck, getting it back out there onto the speedway, and in that time period, more than likely you're going to lose a lap. So if you get a black flag, have to make a extra pit road pass, or potentially getting that 30-second, 1-second hold down pit road, or not 1 second, 1 minute hold down pit side. It can put you out of this race in a quick hurry. But right now, out in front and just looking to kind of run away with it, it is that 18 ride, man. Jacob Grube is looking good here to start this race. He qualified in that pole position. He's been laying down some really quick lap times out there on the speedway, and he is pulling farther and farther away from Nicholas Snyder in the rest of the field. But the big question will be, here at Milwaukee, what will the tires look like? What will the tire wear entail? And will these drivers all of a sudden kind of just fall off the map when the tires start to wear out? Will they start to really fall back? And if that is potentially a play, then we may see drivers like Snyder or Chris Gilbert, some of these guys that are a little deeper in the field, that tend to take things a whole lot slower out there on the speedway, knowing that they want to protect those tires. They want to give themselves that extra little bit of grip later in the run and move forward and try to hunt down drivers that are in front of them. So if you're Jacob Grube, you're either trying to pull far enough away from these guys that they won't have time to catch you when you finally make your way down pit side, or, for the first wave of green flag pit stops, or hopefully that, the tires aren't going to play that big of a factor, and he may know that, and he may just want to just keep putting his foot to the throttle and pulling farther and farther away from the cats back there behind him. It's already out to about a 2.3 second lead here. So for Jacob Grube, he's a man on a mission, 6 laps into this race, and looking, just continuing to try to pull farther and farther away from the rest of the pack, as we do see Snyder back there in second. Chris Gilbert rolls in position number 3 out there on the speedway. Some great racing again here tonight for the HCK Beagles Racing League, powered by Morphosis machine here this season. Huge shout out to them. Huge shout out to all of our amazing sponsors, including Janelle's comment is Ridge Powersports, KR Gutters. Man, we couldn't do it without them. Tech Warrior, Muleburger Custom Homes, Admin Box, all of our amazing sponsors here with the HCK Beagle Racing League. Man, we can't thank them enough. And Janelle in the chat showing the love here this afternoon says, let's go Ridge Powersports. KR Gutters cheering him on here this afternoon. Is out in front, still leading the way is that 18 ride, and he's still pulling farther and farther away. He's still running about 2/10 or better quicker than the drivers back behind him, as we do see Kyle Van Tassel Oh no, what's gone wrong here for Van Tassel? Looks like he was trying to head down pit side, and he doesn't really make it down pit road. He gets turned down here, and this gets a little loose there, and then all of a sudden just ends up into the sand barriers here. Couldn't get checked up in time. That's some pretty solid front-end damage there for that 13 machine, and that may take him down pit road for an extended period of time. And then we do see the number 4 ride, Tim Blankenbeckler here. Now, Tim missed the start of this race. Unfortunately, is already multiple laps down, but good to see Timmy jumping out there onto the speedway. Unfortunately for Van Tassel, he'll be parked down pit side for a while getting that truck repaired. It may even end his night, as you do see Jacob Grube running into some of that lap traffic, as there's Tim Blankenbeckler now out onto the speedway, and unfortunately going to fall another lap down. So he does fall, I do believe, about 9 laps down, 10 laps down, something like that. And unfortunately for Mr. Blankenbeckler, he's going to have to try to, get a little lucky here. Maybe there's a few caution flags. Maybe he can leapfrog Kyle Van Tassel, get those lucky dogs, and try to claw his way back into it. But honestly, I think at this point, it's going to be very, very tough sledding. I don't think we're going to see, 8, 9 laps of, or 8 or 9 caution flags to even give out that kind of, lucky dogs here this afternoon. So it would probably take Timmy a miracle here this evening to try to get back into the action and back on the lead lap. As out in front, though, it is still Jacob Grube with the 5 right of Nicholas Snyder sticking right there in second. But the gap is now about 2.8 seconds between first and second. And for Grube, he's looking to try to pull farther and farther away. And now they got the little lap traffic there in the middle of them as well. So that could also play a factor in if this 5 right can reel in the 18 machine later in this run. As we do see Gilbert back there in position number 3, Brad Lane's in 4th, Kyle Wiggins up and into that 5th position with Jason LePan back behind him in position number 6. Brandon Dominguez there in 7th. In that 77 ride, Bobby Blair and Ryan Peterson right there in tow as the Ridge Powersports rides all right here on top of one another. And unfortunately, though, just outside our top 5, but still just inside our top 10 out there on the speedway. But it is all Jacob Grube to start this race as he is continuing to try to pull farther and farther away, and that gap is now about 3.1 seconds. But when will the fall off start to come back the other way? We know at some point in time, with how fast this 18 ride's been running, more than likely we're going to see the tire fall off hit him a little bit sooner than what it will hit for, Nicholas Snyder and Gilbert, Brad Lane, a bunch of these guys that are a little farther back. Will they be able to use a little fresher tire to reel him in and hunt him down out there on the speedway? I keep saying it, I keep feeling it, but he's still running, a tenth or 2/10 quicker than everyone else back behind him, and they keep getting slower as well. So I don't know if he's just that much quicker here at the Milwaukee Mile and he's just pulling away from everyone else. Maybe he's learned something through his week of practice here to make sure this truck was absolutely perfect for tonight's feature event, and he's hoping that he can use it to his advantage. See if we can take a little look here and ride around a little bit with this 18 ride and see what he can see from the cockpit. As here we go down the back straightaway. Gonna send it in pretty deep here into corner number 3, and he's able to quickly get back onto the throttle still as well. He's back on it, shifting gears here on corner exit and able to get that power down nicely. So you got to wonder if potentially, tires may not play that big of a factor here this afternoon, or at least enough that Grube isn't worried about it and he's just sticking with it, man. He's just keeping that power down. You see the car getting a little squirrely here and there. That's what could potentially heat up the tires enough that it could start to become a problem for him. But for the first 16, 17 laps of this race, he is A-okay. Let's take a look here at Nicholas Snyder. What does it look like for Snyder? Because you see him trying to roll the bottom a little bit more. You can really hear him more off the throttle, and I think that's really where Grube is gaining on all these drivers back behind him. They all send it in there fairly good, but you see the 5 right. I don't know if it's just truck's too tight, but you see him kind of cycle through the center there. He's off the throttle, not as much as what the 18 of Jacob Grube is, and that's allowing Grube just to kind of pull farther and farther away here, and that could be the big difference maker these guys back behind him just can't quite get that foot down and are still dealing with, tight race trucks, or if they're just dealing with, maybe not having the optimal line out there on the racetrack, potentially this could be Jacob Grube's race to lose as he continues to pull farther and farther away. And at this point, I did not think this would be an issue. I thought we would see Snyder or Gilbert, some of these other drivers starting to slowly but surely reel in this 18 ride, but for Grube, he just continues to keep on running. Pretty solid lap time, still a tenth or 2/10 quicker than the drivers back behind him in lap after lap. He keeps gaining more and more and more here on Nicholas Snyder. That time by the start finish line, it was a 31:91 for Jacob Grube, and it was a 31:92 for Nicholas Snyder. So maybe it's starting to get there. Maybe it takes 19-20 laps. Maybe we'll start to see Snyder, reel him back in as Lava Man says, wheel shut off on me coming out of 4 while trying to save it. Oh no, Van Tassel, that is a heartbreaker, brother. That is a heartbreaker, my boy. We were wondering what was going on. Obviously, we saw you pull down into, pit road right there and get into the sand barriers, and unfortunately, man, that was a big hit, a lot of damage, and looks like it may be the end of the day, end of the night here potentially for that 13 ride of Kyle Van Tassel, only after 8 laps of racing action. But at least he gets to enjoy some amazing racing out there on the speedway, or at least a little bit of opening of a can of whoop ass out there on the racetrack, because Jacob Grube is still opening up that lead. Last time around, he was about 2/10 again quicker than Nicholas Snyder. The lead is now over 4 seconds here after 21 laps of racing action. Now, I'm not 100% sure on what our stage break is. Let me take a look here. What is 35% of laps? This 135 laps. About 47 laps, so we should see our first and only stage break here this afternoon at lap number 47, so that is still quite a bit of a distance, and now you gotta start to wonder, maybe it's not the tires that these guys are saving back behind them. Maybe they know tires aren't going to be a big game player and maybe a big game changer out there on the speedways. We do see Kyle Wiggins now down pit side. Oh no! Oh man, the Waffle House 14 ride has also taken his car down pit road, and it looks like he may be down here for a bit of an extended period of time as well. Heartbreaker here for Kyle Wiggins. Door open if he's down pit road for an extended period of time for Tim Blankenbackler to at least gain another position out there on the racetrack. But you gotta wonder, if it's not fuel that these guys are trying to save back there behind them, then maybe, maybe it's not tires, maybe it's fuel. Maybe they're trying to make it to lap 47, and with Grube going so hard and so fast out there on the racetrack, maybe it's bringing into the big question in the big picture here that maybe he's not going to be able to make it 47 laps on fuel, where everybody else, they may be at that point, they may be able to save enough to get that far. So if you're Jacob Grube, you may just be playing the opposite end of it. You're not too worried about stage points. You want to win this race, and you want to use it to your advantage, and having this big gap, this big lead, may lead into potentially a win here this afternoon for that Morphosis machine number 18 ride. As Richard Bradshaw in the house. What's good, Richard? Richard coming in, showing the love. Now, Van Tassel was in the chat. Van Tassel, brother, let us know in the comments section, man, what is the strategy here for these drivers? We haven't done a ton of races here at Milwaukee, so I'm not 100% sure. I mean, obviously, tire wear is still a factor here. These guys are running virtually about a second to a second and a half off the pace of what they were at the start of this race. So they have fallen quite a bit back here, just alone off tire wear. But is it tire wear? Is it potentially fuel saving? What is the thought process here? What are these drivers thinking? And obviously, giving up all this time, even though you may get some stage points, are they worth it when you're giving up so much time out there on the speedway? And if you look at a driver like Jacob Group, who just continues to pull farther and farther away from everyone else out there on the racetrack, out to now a 5-second lead, Jacob Group's got to be feeling okay. He's got to be feeling fantastic out there on the speedway, as we do see Kyle Wiggins. Looks like Wiggins took in his car right back down behind pit wall, and Tim Blankenbeckler is back down pit side. So Blankenbeckler is going to take his truck down pit road. I'm not sure what the problem is here for the Tim's Tiny Boat Adventures. Just Fishing, number 4 ride. Looks like he's going to get some tires here at least. I don't know if he's going to join us back out on the racetrack. But, excuse me, obviously already here in this race, we see Kyle Van Tassel, we see Kyle Wiggins, both down pit road. Obviously, Van Tassel still with major damage on the 13 truck. And it looks like Tim Blankenbeckler is going to take his truck off the racetrack as well. So, Blankenbeckler looks like his night is done. For Kyle Wiggins, looks like his night is over as well. So, we started with not a lot of cars out there on the racetrack, and we've already lost 3. You know, not even 30 laps into this race. That makes things that much tougher for us, chat. That makes things much tougher for us here tonight. As Anna, what's good, Anna? Anna in the chat says, what's up, Peacemaker? What's up, Anna? How are you, my girl? How are you? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful Tuesday night. As Jacob Groob out in front, nice and easy. Down and out of core number 4, Groob is going to lead lap number 30 out there on the speedway. But when do we start to see these drivers have to come down pit road? That is going to be the big question, and that may be the big play here. When you look at drivers like Snyder and Chris Gilbert, when you look at Brad Lane and Bobby Blair, you know, is that the idea here, that maybe you try to stretch that fuel out a little bit more, maybe you try to go that little extra farther out there on the speedway to put yourself into a better position later in this race if it comes down to a fuel mileage game plan? Maybe that's the big plan here for a lot of these guys. Maybe they know that you can only make it 40 laps if you're on the throttle hard and you're continuing to push and drive hard out there on the speedway. You know, maybe if they can stretch it, you know, an extra 4 or 5 laps, maybe that opens up the door for them only having to make 2 pit stops here this afternoon. Or maybe if you can't go that far, like Jacob Groob may not be able to, you may have to make that 3rd pit stop out there on the racetrack, and it may be just big picture late game racing for Snyder and Gilbert, knowing that they want to save that extra little bit to make sure that maybe they don't have to make that 3rd and final pit stop out there on the speedway. But obviously for Jacob Groob, he's not too worried about it. I mean, maybe it's just Groob, man. Maybe this cat is just that fast out there on the racetrack, and he just looks to continue to pull farther and farther away from the rest of the field, as they are unfortunately seeing him get smaller and smaller from their windshield, as you can see them getting smaller and smaller up here in the camera shot on the 18 ride, as Groob out in front by almost 6.5 seconds now. Back to that 5 ride, and you do see Snyder starting to feel a little bit of pressure here as Chris Gilbert's rolling up to his back bumper. Gilbert's starting to put that pressure onto that 5 ride, and then Brad Lane and Bobby Blair not too far back there. They're ready to pounce. If they get battling here for a second, I'm sure they'd love to jump up there and join them and see if they can try to work their way up and into a podium position out there on the racetrack, as we click off another lap. 34 laps down. Groob lays down another pretty decent lap out there on the speedway, and down across the line. Does anyone touch it? It looks like not a lot of drivers were too close to him there in the laps. Now we do see a couple that were fairly close, and that is Brad Lane and Bobby Blair. They actually ran almost exactly the same lap time as our race leader, but they are running quicker than Snyder and Chris Gilbert. So maybe they're finding a little extra out there. Maybe they're finding that extra little bit. We'll have to wait and see if maybe their trucks are starting to come to life. But we do see another driver make its way down pit side, as here comes that 20 ride. The Richard Bradshaw, number 20. of Jason LePan down pit road here on lap number 34. He's going to get fuel only. He's going to roll back out onto the racing surface, and he'll keep on battling here this evening. But unfortunately, the 20 ride down pit side here on lap number 8. But his teammate out in front, continuing to lead the way, it's Jacob Grube, who's got that tough spot, is feeling A-okay here at the front of the field. And right now, he's just going to be thinking, what is the strategy? What is everyone else's game plan? Obviously, you see LePan come down here really early in this race, 34 laps in. It seems early, but maybe it's not. Maybe these guys can't go much farther, and maybe they'll have to start navigating their way down pit road here in the next few laps. We know LePan is definitely not scared to try to take big swings at things and make these big game plans to come down earlier, maybe get tires, maybe do something off schedule compared to the rest of the field to try to set themselves up here in this one. As Lava Man says, yeah man, game over for me. Time for a beer and watch the rest of the team. I pulled a Cletus McFarlane, got 8 laps in, and hit the inside wall. That's rough, brother. That's rough. You got Cletus, ladies and gentlemen. He got Cletus out there, and unfortunately, that's never that fun. That is never fun. I mean, you heard it from Cletus himself after that Daytona wreck, man. It was not something he was super proud of, but hey, you know what? It happens to the best of them, man. We see them all the time, and unfortunately tonight, it takes out that Ridge Powersports KR Gutters number 13 of Kyle Van Tassel. But he'll jump in here. He'll talk with his teammates, try to help them out as he knows Bobby Blair back there in that 5th position. Would love to try to gain a couple extra spots here before the end of this stage, and you see Peterson and that 77 of Brandon Deming right there as well, just outside of our top 5 out there on the speedway, but they're also just one spot shy of potentially earning some stage points here as well. So for Ryan Peterson, he's in that 6th and final, stage point position. For the 77 rider Brandon Ming, he is currently one spot out of it. But if we see drivers having to start to come down pit road, if Gruber, Snyder, Gilbert, if they got to work their way down pit road before the end of the stage, maybe Brandon Ming can work his way up there and get a stage point as well, or at least he's going to look to maybe try to steal it away from his teammate, as Peterson is going to move up the racetrack, and the 77 is going to roll around him. And for Ryan Peterson, unfortunately falls back outside of a stage point position on the speedway. But for the 77, looks like he's in line now for maybe one of them, but out in front and trying to get all of them, it's this 18 Jacob Grube, and man, he barely even in the same picture frame anymore. After 41 laps of racing action, the lead is over 7.5 seconds between Jacob Grube and Nicholas Snyder. Man, who would have saw this one coming? I don't know if anyone saw this coming, chat. Woo-wee! Oh, doggy! This is good, and this is getting real interesting because they've ran 41 laps. Even Grube on the throttle, pushing hard out there on the speedway. He is still rolling nicely out there on the racetrack and still pulling farther and farther away from the rest of the field. But at the same point in time, he hasn't had to make quite a bit of an earlier pit stop, and if they can, maybe run another 3-4 laps here, maybe that'll put him into a fuel window that he only has to make 2 green flag pit stops in this race, and we'll have to wait and see how much farther he can push it and how much farther, Snyder, Gilbert, Bobby Blair, and Brad Lane can kind of make it out there on the racetrack, as right now, our top 7, the only 7 not to come down pit side, but we do see Bobby Blair jump up and into position number 4 onto the racetrack. So Bobby Blair in position number 4 and looking for more as Brad Lane falls back into 5th. For Jacob Grube, though, okay, last couple laps around, Nicholas Snyder has been quite a bit quicker than this 18 ride. Now, I'm not sure if that's Grube just starting to save a little bit here towards the end of this run. Maybe he's realizing that, hey, you know what? That fuel's getting a little bit tight. If I want to make it to the completion of lap number 47, then I got to try to save a little bit. So maybe he is saving. Maybe he's not saving. I don't know, because that last time there, he was now, again, 2/10 quicker than Snyder, so he gave 2/10 up the lap before. This time he gains them all back here in this one, as Hannah says Monster Energy. You're right, Anna, you're right. I deserve myself a little extra Monster Energy. Ooh, doggy, that's the stuff right there. That is the stuff. It's Groove, though, out in front. Still about that 7.5-second lead. Snyder's back there in second. You do see Chris Gilbert still right there with him. Only a couple truck lengths off his back bumper. And you're starting to see Bobby Blair reel both of them in. Bobby is starting to slowly but surely creep up to their back bumper in the last few laps around. Bobby Blair has been the fastest truck out there on the racetrack. He has been running quite a bit quicker than not only our race leader Jacob Grube, but quite a bit quicker than Nicholas Snyder and Chris Gilbert as well. So he's looking to try to hunt down our top three out there on the speedway. We'll have to see if Bobby Blair can catch up to them and maybe make a battle here late in this stage for that second and third position. But for Jacob Grube, he's just feeling A-okay. He's out in front. He's clicking the laps off, as we did see Brandon Domingue head down pit road right there on lap number 45. Now we see all the other drivers out here kind of go a little farther, but now here we go. We do see Jacob Grube head down pit road, and now the big question mark is going to be how much farther can Snyder and the rest of these guys go. We do see Snyder staying out. Here comes the 45 back down across the line. I don't know where the line is. Was the line back behind him? Did Grube still pick up the stage win and being down pit road here? I believe he does. All right, so here we go. Right there. He's past it. Where's Snyder? He's not there. So for Jacob Grube, makes this green flag pit stop, and it looks like he is still going to win that stage. Able to make it right to lap number 47 before coming down pit side. And same with Chris Gilbert, also making that stop there on lap number 47 as well. Now for Grube, he still wins the stage. I'm not sure where that would have put Chris Gilbert, but we know that Snyder comes home in second, Bobby Blair in third, more than likely, with Brad Lane back and forth. Then it may have been Chris Gilbert, then Ryan Peterson and Jason LePan, I do believe, rounding out our top six. Maybe not our top six. I guess that probably makes sense. I guess Peterson would have been at the back of our top sixes. Now here we go. We do see Snyder heading down pit road this time. So isn't Brad Lane. So they made it about a lap or two farther than what we saw out of Jacob Grube and Chris Gilbert there. And now as they head down pit road, we see a couple more drivers staying out a little bit longer. You see Bobby Blair, you see Ryan Peterson. They're going to stick with it. They're going to at least run another lap here and looking to try to complete lap number 50 out there on the racetrack. We'll see if Bobby Blair decides to head down pit road this time, and it looks like he is getting checked up. He is going to make that hard left-hand turn, and here he comes down pit side. So for Bobby Blair, able to stretch that fuel out, able to roll hard there, and puts himself obviously making the first pit stop of the day for the 75 ride on lap number 50. So that's going to put him back down pit road. For a lot of these drivers, if they can stretch up that fuel, if they can go as far as what they were, they're going to be back down pit road somewhere around lap number, what would that be, lap number 94, 95, somewhere in that area. Obviously for these drivers, they know that this is a 135 lap feature event, so if you can come back down pit side somewhere around lap number 90, that's going to give you a 45 lap run to the end of this race. And I think that's really the main goal for a lot of these drivers, is not to have to make that third additional pit stop. And I think for Jacob Grube, being able to run as hard as he did and kind of make it 47 laps, if he can make it 45 laps here, come down pit road on lap number 92, and he's only got to really make it 43 on that final run, and he should be good on fuel and maybe even have enough in the tank for, you know, some donuts out there on the racetrack, a little bit of celebration, or maybe even a couple attempts at NASCAR overtime later in this race. But we do see Peterson finally making his way down pit road. There's that 469 ride, so he ends up stretching that fuel out even farther, pitting on lap number 52 for that 469 ride. But out in front, Jacob Grube got the race lead, man, and he's got to be feeling A-okay as Chris Gilbert's back in second and Nicholas Snyder in position number 3. Now that extra lap or two down and out of the racetrack there for Chris Gilbert was enough to allow him to leapfrog Nicholas Snyder here. So he's in front of that 5 machine. He's got a good comfy lead between himself and that 5 right, but slowly but surely we'll more than likely see Snyder reel back in the 45 ride, but out in front and still leading the charge here this afternoon. It is that 18 ride of Jacob Grube. Grube out to almost 8 seconds of a lead here between himself and Chris Gilbert. So didn't lose anything, didn't gain a whole lot, but didn't lose a whole lot down pit road there for the 18 machine. And for Jacob Grube, able to win that first stage, earn those stage points, put them into his back pocket, and still have control of this race and have this big lead, man. He's going to be a man on a mission here for the rest of the night after already 54 laps. They're clicking him off in a quick hurry, and we could see this checkered flag fly rather soon this afternoon, Chad. We could see this one come out really quickly here this evening. It's down across the line. They're going to complete lap number 55 here, and I guess we're about 30 minutes into the race. Now, I'm not sure if that was pace laps and the idle time beforehand for everyone to get out onto the racetrack, if that counts into it as well. But if it has been 30 minutes of green flag racing, we still got a lot of laps here obviously left to go. So, I mean, that's going to put us to, what, lap 110? After an hour, so maybe an hour and 15 minutes, something like that, that we're going to probably run here this afternoon. Maybe a little bit longer than that. I don't think it would be much longer than that, but man, that's going to, obviously fly right on by. And for these drivers, you know what? I think they may like that. Obviously, for Group, he's going to like it. He wants to see this race come to a close as quick as possible. So if he can continue to keep up this pace, continue to drive everyone out there on the racetrack to just keep their foot in the throttle and not get into a bit of a lull to save fuel or save tires out there on the racetrack and just keep on pushing it, he's going to keep on pushing it, and he's hoping that it's going to work out into his favor to park that beautiful Warrior Racing Morphosis machine LLC number 18 up and into victory lane here at the Milwaukee Mile as Grube, Gilbert, Snyder, our top 3 out there on the speedway, and you see Nicholas Snyder has been able to close that gap. He is reeling into the back bumper here of Chris Gilbert. Now we saw Gilbert behind that 5 ride for quite a while there in our first run of the day, and now obviously with a couple lap better tires, will it be enough for Snyder to work his way around him, take that second spot back away, and hope to maybe start to reel in that 18 ride? But as they continue to keep on battling here, if they battle side by side for a few laps, it's going to allow Jacob Grube to pull even farther out in front. And for the 18 ride, he's now grown that lead to about 8.4 seconds, and it's still going, it's still growing. So for Grube, obviously this is going to put him into a very interesting position, because he's able to just keep on keeping on out there on the racetrack. And if he doesn't make any major mistakes, if we don't see any caution flags to draw these guys back into his rear bumper, it could be the Jacob Grube show here this afternoon, and it has already been the Jacob Grube show. But man, if he can just keep himself out in front, lead all these laps, just continue to pull farther and farther away from the rest of the field, as he just completed lap number 60, and he's got almost a 9-second lead between himself and Snyder. So he's just hitting his marks, man, doing everything right out there on the speedway, and he's going to be feeling A-okay here at the front of the pack. He just does not want to see a caution. He wants to try to get more of these drivers potentially a lap down out there on the racetrack, as we already saw. Obviously, Kyle Wiggins, Tim Blankenbeckler, Kyle Van Tassel down and out of this race. We do see Ryan Peterson, Jason LePan, the 77 of Brandon Deming. They're not too far away from potentially falling a lap down here in this race themselves. So that could get things even more interesting if Grube can start to put some of that lap traffic in between himself and Nicholas Snyder. Snyder has been able to complete that pass for that second spot on the speedway. Gilbert didn't put up too much of a fight there. Will fall back into third, allow the 5 ride to jump in front of him. But we saw this in that first stage. We saw Snyder get into second rather quickly. He was right there. He was only a couple truck lengths off of Jacob Grube, and throughout that run, Grube just continued to pull farther and farther away from him. Now he does have a couple laps better tires. We'll see if that makes a big difference or not. If that will be a difference maker, that maybe for the 5 he'll be able to hunt him down and reel him in, but I don't know if that's going to be the case, man. I think this is Grube's race to lose here this afternoon. He does not want to give it away. He does not want to throw it away. So he knows that there's going to be at least one more green flag pit stop here just after lap number 90. So if he can kind of just keep up this pace, keep that gap, even if you give a second back or 2 seconds back, that may be the best bet, because that will give you, enough time to make sure your truck is absolutely topped up, that you can make it to the end of this race on that next pit stop and not have to worry about potentially, going back down pit road in the closing laps here this afternoon. And Snyder and Gilbert still right there, tight together. And for Grube, he loves to see that as he continues to pull a little bit more out in front here, as the gap is now just over 9 seconds out there on the speedway. Virtually an entire straightaway here at the Milwaukee Mile between first and second out there on the speedway. Now Gilbert's doing a great job hanging with them. A little farther back, you do see Bobby Blair and then Brad Lane in position number 5. Brandon Dominguez back in 6 with Jason LePan and that 469 Ryan Peterson rounding out our top 8 up there on the speedway. For Kyle Wiggins, Tim Blankenbeckler, and Kyle Van Tassel, their nights have come to an early close out there on the speedway, but it's all about the dominance out of this 18 ride. Grube continues to lead the way, continues to show these drivers how to get it done here in our first playoff race of the second round of the playoffs here with the Morphosis machine HCK Beagles Truck Series here in this season. And man, it has been a Jacob Grube show. We didn't see him last week because he was away. He was actually at Daytona, so he ended up missing that one race due to being at Daytona International Speedway, and unfortunately ended up missing that feature event. Didn't get an opportunity to race in it, and that opened up the door for a couple of these other drivers to jump up and end up putting themselves into the winner's circle. So for them, it was a great break for them, but Grube's picking right back up where he left off. We saw him win at Darlington in our first playoff race of the season. He backed it up with a win at Darlington, and then we went to Dover without him last Tuesday night, and now we get him back out there on the racetrack, and here he is picking right back up where he left off, out in front, looking to pick up another win, looking for his 3rd playoff win in 4 races here on the season. And for a driver that came in and dominated the last 3 races last year in our championship round, I thought it was going to be a tight battle between Grube, between Snyder, maybe Nick Gardner as well for that championship last year. And then Jacob Grube went out there for 3 races in our final round, our championship round of the playoffs, and won all 3 of those races en route to winning that championship last season. But now, this season, it looks like he's just picking right up where he left off, as every race he's been in, he's won here in the playoffs. The last 5 races, he's found victory lane. He's 5 for 5 the last 5 races here in the playoffs with the HCK Beagles Racing League, and tonight he's looking to make it 6 for 6 in his last 6 playoff performances out there on the racetrack, and it may be clean and green sailing for that number 18 ride, as he does see his teammate Jason LePan head down pit road here. And unfortunately for Warrior Racing number 20, not as quick, not as much speed in this ride as his teammate, and unfortunately, obviously we saw him make a little bit of an earlier pit stop over everybody else. It looks like LePan is going to go for more of a 3-stop race here. Now he made it just around, I think he came down pit road on lap 34, lap 35 there for his first pit stop of the day. It looks like that's kind of the game plan for this 20, coming back down pit road on lap number 70, that he's going to probably run another 30-35 laps, come back down pit road roughly just after lap 100, and then obviously going to try to play catch-up. Hope that that strategy works into his favor and that he can maybe leapfrog a few of these drivers in front of him and maybe put himself into a solid top 5 run on the day. As we do see Brandon Domingue going to kind of jump on board with that strategy. So he jumps down pit side as well. So man, this is just going to make things that much more exciting. Obviously, we get some different fuel strategies, some different tire strategies. How will it all play out, and who will put themselves into the winner's circle here this evening? As out in front, excuse me, Jacob Grube has almost a 10-second lead now between himself and Nicholas Snyder. So just around our halfway marker out there on the speedway, just a bit past it for Snyder. Obviously seeing that 18 Ryan virtually disappear from his windshield. I don't even know if he can see him anymore out there on the racetrack, as you see it right here down through corner number 1 and 2. He doesn't have a sight on our race leader. He's that far away, and even as he rounds corner number 2, will he see him down into 3? No. Can't even see him down into corner number 3 as well. So for Nicholas Snyder, he's just seeing Jacob Grube pull farther and farther away, and now no longer even in the picture here out of that front windshield of this 5 ride. So for Jacob Grube, he might be able to use that to his advantage. That might be able to work well into his hands, especially when it comes to, making that additional green flag pit stop. If you're far enough back, and if, the guys back here behind him don't really notice that you're down pit side, maybe they go a lap or 2 laps longer than what they were planning on or that they wanted to, and that could in turn work into your favor later in this race as well. But I think the only people that really need a favor out there on the racetrack is everyone other than Jacob Grube, because I'm sure they would be loving a caution flag here and an opportunity to reel him back in, make some changes on their race trucks, and try to work themselves into the battle here this afternoon. As it's still a battle for the race win, but as of right now, and the way she stands with a 10-second lead and growing for Jacob Grube, this is his race, man, and he is feeling A-okay here this afternoon, and he continues to just run quicker laps than Snyder and Gilbert. We do see Bobby Blair starting to slowly but surely run good lap times again here at that 75 ride. We kind of saw that at the end of our first green flag run of the day, is that the 75 had started to pick up that pace, and he was reeling in Chris Gilbert and Nicholas Snyder there towards that first wave of green flag pit stops. And it seems like that is the case again for Bobby Blair, is that he is slowly reeling those 2 in, and could potentially try to put himself back up and onto the podium here today. But for Jacob Grube, whew, doggy, he did not come to play here this afternoon. It's all business for Mr. Grube, as he's going to click off another lap the next time by the start-finish line, going to complete lap number 77, and we're going to get a quick drink into us, but first we're going to jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume, cheer on your favorite drivers, and make sure you guys hit that like button on the stream for us right now, hit that subscribe button, and obviously jump into the comment section. Let us know who you want to see up here picking up the checkered flag this afternoon as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Alrighty, a beautiful crank it up session out there on the speedway as Jacob Grube continues to lead the way here at the Milwaukee Mile. Grube out in front, still holding down that top spot and still looking to try to run away with it more and more out there on the speedway as he finds himself out in front by almost 13 seconds. Almost 13 seconds between himself and that 5 ride. There's Snyder just crossed the start finish line. Group is already putting the power down on the backstretch. So he is working on almost half a track lead out there on the speedway. And for the Warrior Racing Morphosis machine, number 18, man, he has just been a rocket ship all night long and just continuing to pull farther and farther away. And actually we've started to see Bobby Blair in that 75 ride throughout that crank it up. 75 not only made the pass on Chris Gilbert for position number 3 out there on the speedway. Now we do see Gilbert making his way down pit side, but Bobby Blair has been running, very close lap times to Jacob Grube. They've been running really close lap times, and for Bobby Blair, he is tracking down Nicholas Snyder here. He's not too far off the 5's back bumper here, late in this race, as we do see our race leader Jacob Grube finally make his way back down pit side for what could be his final pit stop of this race. So for Grube, he's down pit road, he's feeling a-okay, and now obviously we'll have to wait and see when Snyder, Bobby Blair, the rest of these guys decide to come down pit road. I got a sneaky suspicion that they're not going to make it too much farther here, maybe only a few more laps out there on the racetrack, and we should see probably everyone else back down pit road here in more than likely the next 5 laps or so out there on the speedway, and it may not even be that long. We'll have to wait and see how long they continue to roll out there, not on the new tires, but obviously they got to try to figure something out and playing a little bit of different strategy, maybe trying to have the better tires later in this race. Maybe that will help Snyder or Bobby Blair out a little bit more than Jacob Grube, but Grube, he comes down pit road, makes that pit stop, and he still comes out of the pits in position number 4 here. Now for Nicholas Snyder, Bobby Blair, Brad Lane, they still got to come down pit road. And for Grube, right now, he's only about 16 seconds away from our race leaders out there on the speedway. So, he had that almost 13-second lead. Now for Snyder, he's out in front of him by about 16 seconds. But the more these guys stay out, the more and more time that Jacob Grube is going to gain. Now that could work into their favor later on with the fresher tires than the 18 ride, but we've seen, how much more off the pace Snyder and Bobby Blair and Brad Lane, the rest of the field have really been to that 18 ride. So even though they may have, 4 or 5 lap better tires, they're still going to be a ways way back behind him, and they're still probably not going to be running that much quicker or even at all quicker lap times than the 18 ride. As here comes Snyder and Bobby Blair, both down pit road. They're going to slide into their pit stalls down pit side here, and for Grube, there he goes, right on by him. Grube back up into second. We're waiting for Brad Lane to come down pit road here. So Brad Lane's got to make a pit stop still. So doesn't Ryan Peterson, who jumps into third. Now we did see Chris Gilbert already down pit road, and we do know that for Brandon Domingue and Jason LePan, they were down pit side on lap 69 and lap 71. They're going to have to make an additional pit stop here this afternoon as well. Their night is not over yet on making these green flag pit stops, as they're on a 3 pit stop cycle. The rest of our race leaders are on a 2-stop cycle out there on the speedway, and I just don't know what world that the 3-stop strategy was going to work into their favor. Maybe if they caught a lucky caution flag or something at some point in time, maybe that would help them out a little bit, but even then, they've burnt up the same amount of tires now as our race leader, and even if they do have to make that 3rd pit stop, then they're going to have 1 less set of tires back down pit side, where they may not have any extras late in this race if there is a late race yellow flag. And for Jacob Grube, we see Brad Lane down pit side. Grube jumps back out in front, so he's got this race lead once again, and he's hoping that he can just keep it rolling here and hoping to see it stay clean and green as Peterson works his way into second, but still has to come down pit side. And for how long, the other guys were out there on the racetrack for that extra 4 laps. For Snyder and Bobby Blair, they ran 4 laps longer, 3 laps longer than our race leader, 4 laps longer than the number 45 of Chris Gilbert. And for Gilbert, that could work out nicely for him because he's up and into, well, technically what will be the 3rd position. But for Snyder and Bobby Blair, not only will I have to try to make up the ground, track him down, they'll have to try to find their way around the 45 right now with the extra, 3-4 laps better tires. Maybe it'll work into their favor, but unfortunately, that's another pass. It's another car that they got to compete with and battle with. That may slow them up even more. And for Jacob Grube, he's out in front. He's got about 13 seconds between himself and Chris Gilbert there on the speedway. 15 seconds between him and Nicholas Snyder out there on the racetrack. So for Jacob Grube, man, he's just, on a nice little Sunday cruise, waiting, clicking these laps off, knowing that he's en route to what could be another big win and a ticket into the next round of our HCK Beagles playoffs here this year. So for the Metamorphosis number 18 ride, he's feeling okay. It's a breezy day for that 18 ride, as we do see Ryan Peterson finally headed down pit side, making his final stop of this race, or at least potential final stop. Now, I think for a lot of these drivers that are on that 2-tire strategy, if they do see the caution flag come out, if they're still in the lead lap, I think they're all probably going to come down pit road and get tires, even after, the 10 laps or so that they've ran, 8 laps for some, that they're going to be coming down pit road and probably taking fresh tires, especially if it's a little later than this. I think maybe right now they would probably stick with it, maybe not come back down pit side if you're Grube or Snyder, but honestly, there's only 6 drivers left on a lead lap. I don't think you're going to be losing or giving up that much, and it could make that big of a difference. And now we do see Brandon Ming finally having to make his way back down pit side. We did see Jason LePan back on lap 101 also come back down pit road. Now LePan is at the back of the pack here in that 8th position. He's the last car out there on the speedway right now in the farthest back position. For Peterson, he's made his stop. He's hoping to leapfrog the Ming here and maybe try to work himself into a solid 6th place run out there on the racetrack. For Brandon Ming, he'll be looking to try to hunt down his Ridge Powersports teammate and try to steal that 6th spot away from him. But for the rest of the guys here at the front of the field, when you look at Jacob Grube, Chris Gilbert, Nicholas Snyder, Bobby Blair, and Brad Lane, they're all still on the lead lap. For Peterson, he is a lap down. He is in that lucky dog position, and he's hoping to keep it that way and hoping for that late race caution flag. But now that we've worked our way into our final 30 laps of racing action here this evening, I do believe it is 29 laps left to go here in this race. For Jacob Grube, he is just continuing to pull farther out in front, and he's got a lot of time to work with. Even if he's got a little older tire, a little bit more use and abuse tires than the drivers back behind him. When you look at Snyder and Bobby Blair, I mean, he can give up a lot of time to those guys. He can roll out of it. He can take it a little bit easier, maybe save a little bit extra of that tire for later in this run to work into his favor, but it hasn't really been an issue here this afternoon. And virtually after the first 6-7 laps of this race, he's had no one close to his back bumper, no one able to even challenge him or mount a challenge to try to take the top spot away from him here this evening in what has been pretty much a dominating race, man. It has been it's been all Grube all day in this 18 ride. Continues to keep that trend up as he's pulling farther and farther away here, still running better lap times than Chris Gilbert. Obviously, he's got 3 lap older tires than Nicholas Snyder and Bobby Blair, and he's still running, virtually the same lap times as Snyder, a little bit quicker than Bobby Blair the last time by the start-finish line, so he's not losing anything out there on the speedway. Now, for Chris Gilbert, he may be a little bit more in trouble. He's got 4 lap older tires than the drivers back behind him, so for Nicholas Snyder and Bobby Blair, might be easy pickings here for them to try to work their way back around this 45 and park themselves up and onto the podium here at the Milwaukee Mile. But for right now, Gilbert's holding strong, keeping strong, and trying to make sure he just hits his marks and doesn't give anything up, hoping that maybe he put up a little bit better of a fight here to keep that 5 right, and Nicholas Snyder back there at bay. And I think even for Jacob Group, he's thinking the same thing. If he can see them battle and beat and bang a little bit, or just slice and dice and have some issues here, trying to make passes around this 45 ride, that's probably going to allow him to pull farther and farther out in front. As you see the 5 of Snyder takes a peek down low, and this is probably where he needed to make that move, as he was able to hold that inside lane. He's able to get the foot in the throttle a little bit sooner with the 4-lap better tires, and that should set himself up here down through corner number 3 and 4 to make this pass and steal that second spot away from Chris Gilbert. And I think Gilbert knew it. I think he knew that obviously this 5 right has got a good hot rod as well, and is much faster than him at this point in the race, and kind of just allowed him to take that spot away and allowed him to kind of just take that groove down through 1 and 2, as you see him that time able to hold that inside lane quite a bit better. And for Snyder, he'll say thank you very much, but now he wants to try and close that gap, and unfortunately that gap has grown. It's almost 14 seconds between first and second out there on the racetrack. Absolutely insane for Jacob Group to be that far out in front, to be just in his own zip code out there on the racetrack, and it's not slowing down at all for that 18 ride. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in here this afternoon and you haven't already, man, make sure you guys help us out a little bit here in the broadcast. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for us right now. Become part of the Peacemaker family today. It helps us out a ton. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do hit that subscribe button, turn those bell notifications on, and make sure you also drop not only a comment, tell us what you think of the broadcast and who you're cheering for out there on the racetrack, but also hit the like button on the stream while you're at it as well. It helps out the stream a ton, helps it grow a ton, and brings more amazing fans in the stands to watch and cheer these drivers on. As Jacob Grube, he wants to see a lot of fans in the stands like we have here in Milwaukee cheering on that 18 ride, as I think he's going to maybe gain some fans here this evening, because for Grube, he's out front. He's pulling farther and farther away here with the 13th second lead. The pure dominance here today, and he's going to be happy to see this one come to a close. I'm sure for Grube, it's been a little bit fun. I think for some of these drivers back behind him, I don't think it's been as fun for them. I mean, you want to have a good race. You want to have a solid race. I'm sure they'll take the points, but, you know, for Snyder, Bobby Blair, Chris Gilbert, all these guys, man, they want to be there at the end. They want to have an opportunity to try to win this race, and Grube has kind of just taken all of them right out of the picture of trying to battle for the win here today, as they're rolling down across the start-finish line. There's our race leader rolling down out at corner number 2 and down the back straightaway. Virtually half a track separating him and Nicholas Snyder out there on the speedway. And for Jacob Grube, he can kind of just sit back here. He's only got 20 laps left to go here. This time by it'll be 19 laps left here in this race. And for Jacob Grube, man, 19 laps, he could almost afford to give up 2, 3, 4 tenths every single lap to the drivers back behind him, even probably half a second a lap. He's still going to be out in front. He's still going to have that race lead, so he can really, you know, back the pace up here. Save a little tire, save a little fuel if he needs to, or if he wants to feel a little bit more confident and comfortable late in this race. If there is that late race caution flag that gets displayed and, you know, gets the rest of the field back to his rear bumper, you can kind of take it a little bit more easy and breezy out there on the speedway. And another crazy stat here this afternoon as well. Grube is the only driver in our field that ran under a 31-second lap time. He ran a 30.8 lap time early in this race. The next fastest lap time is a 31.08, so virtually almost 3 tenths quicker than any other driver has driven here this afternoon, which is absolutely incredible that he is found this much speed and that he's got this good of a truck, and it's just shown all evening out of, you know, what he's been able to do. He's led virtually every single lap that he could, other than the few laps that he didn't lead throughout these green flag pit stop cycles. If you don't count those laps, I mean, virtually Jacob Grube has led every lap here this evening, and he just wants to keep it that way. I'm sure he's having a lot of fun out in front, clicking these laps off, pulling away, and now starting to see a little bit more lap traffic in front of him that he may get to play with here and have some fun with. Is one of those being his teammate, the 20 rider Jason LePan, about to go another lap down out there on the racetrack. And then we do see, I believe that is Brad Lane, our 5th place driver, not too far away here as well, also at risk of potentially losing a lap out there on the speedway. I'm not sure if Grube will catch him in time, but I mean, he's only straight away in front of him. I mean, anything is possible, and we've seen Grube just be able to turn up the wick whenever he wants out there on the racetrack. And for the 18 ride, he clicks off another lap, man. 120 down, 15 laps left to go here in this feature event, and we're inching closer and closer to our checkered flag this afternoon, and what has been just an incredible and amazing night of racing action again here for these HCK Beagles Truck Series drivers, man. They've put together another great show, another great race, and as long as we stay clean and green for the next 14 laps, it's going to be another 100% green flag race here this afternoon. Zero caution flags, just non-stop good racing out there on the speedway, and just a lot of action here, man. And for Grube, man, it'd be interesting to see. We were in talks with Winker and a couple of the other guys on whether or not the HCK Beagles were coming back for another season. There's talks that they may not be coming back for another season, but they may be combining, this league with our Monday night league with the Metalheads Truck Series, and they may be moving from Monday nights to this Tuesday night so that these guys can keep on racing and keep on battling on Tuesdays as well. So that could be something in the future that may get put together, that may start to fly, and where we could see, Grube and Bobby Blair and a lot of these other drivers start to get in on the action of that other league where, we tend to have that, 20 drivers or better, every Monday night. If we could take those 20 drivers every Monday night, throw them in here with the 10 drivers that we've had at the end of the season, then maybe we could start to pull in, that 25, 30, 35 drivers every single night of the week. And I think that would be, honestly, the best thing, I think, for both series. Obviously, one series will continue, one will come to a close, but, man, that would create some really, really interesting racing, some really good battles, man, and we get a lot of these guys that have, raced in the past together, back together to keep on battling and duking it out, but then you get the fast drivers and the, really good cats from Monday nights into Tuesday nights as well, or vice versa, and it just ups that competition level that much more and just lights a fire under all these drivers, and that's what we like to see, and could just produce some really, really amazing racing here for all the fans in the stands, and that would open up potentially another night for us up here in the booth to fill in with, another series, and maybe get some more drivers, more guys that may be interested in joining that league as well. So, the sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen. And here tonight, sky's the limit for Jacob Grube. But, man, I don't know if he's found his limit here today. I think he's just been taking it easy and breezy here the last little while. He's been running just over 32-second lap times. And for a while there, Snyder and Bobby Blair, those guys were catching up to him a little bit. But now the last few laps, he's been running quicker lap times again, so he's starting to pull farther and farther ahead as Van Tassel says, watch the battle for second. It's close. Ooh, it is getting close back here for P2. Okay, so Snyder in second here. Bobby Blair tracking him down. This is going to be a good battle right here for that second spot, as Bobby Blair is looking to try to take over this second spot on the speedway. There's only, 9 laps left to go here. Man, Bobby Blair's been saving. They came down pit road together. We saw how the 75 ride was a lot faster on the longer run compared to a lot of these drivers. So I'm not quite surprised to see this, that he's been able to kind of reel up to him. And you see the 5 ride and how loose he was right there out of core number 4. Bobby had to get out of the throttle there just ever so slightly. But for the 75 ride, is this an extra spot, an extra point into his back pocket? That may be enough to try to lock him into our next round of the championship battle, and he's going to fight like heck here for this spot on the racetrack. But I know Nicholas Snyder is not going to want to give it up. I'm sure he's already not happy of not winning this race, so losing another spot out there on the racetrack is not going to make his day that much better. So we'll have to wait and see if we see some fireworks here late in this race, and not for our race winner Jacob Grube, but for these two back here behind him, as we call Jacob Grube the race winner. We still got 6 laps of racing action left to go, but biting something catastrophic happening here for the 18 rider Jacob Grube, man. He is just he's still just absolutely dominating. He's still 11 seconds ahead, man. 11-second lead still for Jacob Grube. He's just on cruise control out there, clicking these laps off and working his way, slowly but surely into victory lane here. But for the 5 rider Snyder and that 75 of Bobby Blair, they're battling back here for that second and third position. Now, Bobby was right there with him. He was on that back bumper, but after that little bit of a squirreliness, and we saw the 75 right have to lift out of the throttle ever so slightly. Obviously, Snyder's been able to pull back out a couple truck lengths here, and unfortunately for Bobby Blair, he's going to try to mount another challenge. I don't know if he's going to pull back and wait for the tires to cool down a little bit and then mount that challenge, or if he's just going to settle in here for that third position, not risk potentially taking himself or that 5 truck out of a good finish here this afternoon. But I know deep down the competition level for that 75 ride, he wants to jump up there. He wants this extra spot, but there are 2 stubborn drivers that are not going to give up an inch here late in these races. So it's going to be interesting to see as they click off another lap here. It's only 4 laps left to go, and it's about 0.4 of a second between our second and third place drivers as they continue to battle here. Normally, this is a battle we like to see at the end of the race for the race win, but our race leader out front still 10 plus seconds ahead of these guys, just rolling out there. He's able to put his teammate Jason LePan a lap down again out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately for LePan, he's now 2 laps down out there on the speedway, but for our race leader Jacob Grube, man, it's 3 laps left to go for him to finally get it done here in this one. But man, here we go. The 75 of Bobby Blair's trying to inch back to him, trying to work his way back to that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Can he get him here late in this race? Can he make the move to put himself up and into the winner's circle here this afternoon? He had to sit back there for a little bit, had to kind of wait patiently, but now that he has, man, he's coming. Oh, big wiggle out of 4. Almost took out that outside fence. Luckily enough, able to point it in the right direction here, but you can see him trying to run a couple different lines, trying to find these big runs and hoping that he can find his way around that 5 ride. Is out in front for Jacob Grube. Down and out at corner number 4, back down and across the line. He will see the white flag fly. So 1 more lap left to go here for Jacob Grube. He's just been on cruise control. He has been a cruise missile here all evening long out in front. But for the final lap here, Bobby Blair is going to have a couple more opportunities to try to steal this second spot away from Nicholas Snyder, though. Snyder trying to hang on to it. Bobby Blair wanting to take it away from him as nice and easy down and out of corner number 4. Jacob Grube will win this race. Jacob Grube down across the line will pick up the dub here this evening, back in second. Here's the battle, and across the line it will be Nicholas Snyder who will hold on to that second position. Bobby Blair back in third. Chris Gilbert will come across the line in position number 4. Brad Lane down and out of 4 will round out our top 5 on the speedway. Ryan Peterson down the back straightaway here. He's still got to complete his final lap, as I believe Peterson will come home in position number 6 this afternoon. Brandon Deming back in 7th with Jason LePan, Kyle Wiggins, Tim Blankenbeckler, and Kyle Van Tassel rounding up the field here. And now these guys are going to have a little fun here. I believe Ryan had already finished his lap. I do believe he was a lap down, so he was able to get that lap completed already. But out in front and working his magic here this afternoon, and what was an incredible race and an incredible win for the 18 ride. Jacob Grube gets it done here in this one, and will park that Metal Morphosis Machine number 18 up and into victory lane here at the Milwaukee Mile as we'll get ready to pull this 18 right up and into the broadcast booth here in just a couple more moments after what was an incredible race, man. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, a lot of good green flag laps. These guys were able to lay down a lot of solid drive out there. And for the 18 ride, man, he was just a man on a mission all evening long. And if you guys enjoyed that racing action, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, become part of the Peacemaker family here today as we'll pull in our race winner to the broadcast booth right now. Hey, Jacob, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Loud and clear.
Jacob, man, what a run, what a race for you here in this one, man, as you're able to just, right at the get-go, run away with this one, man. It was really no one else's race to win this afternoon, as you were just a cruise missile right from the drop of the green flag after, a really good qualifying effort. You qualify on that pole position, and then you virtually lead every lap here this afternoon, other than, those few laps in the pit cycles here this evening, man. Take us back through it and what's kind of going through your mind in such a dominating win.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Hats off to the other podium finishers. They ran a good race too. But I didn't really know. I was struggling with this track yesterday. Just couldn't find the right line and the rhythm and stuff. And I just I had to watch a tutorial off of YouTube. It really helped me out. And it's weird. It's sort of like a road course actually, where it has a real strange entry, and then you're downshifting, and then you turn the wheel straight and head out of the corner. So once I figured that out and the right braking technique, it's a lot of trail braking into the corner, then I was able to kind of figure it out. I wasn't sure, how good guys were going to be. So I just tried to stick in my rhythm and let it play out.
Absolutely. Well, it played out perfectly for you. And obviously, I don't know whose YouTube video you watched, but you might want to go back there and leave a comment and tell him that whatever he gave you as advice, it worked out perfectly, because you were absolutely gone. The only driver here this evening to run sub of 31-second lap time here this afternoon, as you were able to run the quick time at a 30.80 here this evening, virtually 2 to 3 tenths quicker than the next best lap time out there on the racetrack here this evening. And it was really surprising. Obviously, we know Snyder and Bobby Blair or Gilbert, all these guys, man, are really, really talented, really fast drivers, any given week. And early on, I thought maybe you were just on the throttle. Maybe they were trying to save tires. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe get into that stage break or whatever. Maybe you got to pit towards lap 45 for how much you're on the throttle. And maybe they'll be able to make it there to lap 47. Maybe they were just saving that extra little bit of fuel, but it was never the case. You were just that much quicker, and all night long, even though they were running so much slower than you, you were still running lap after lap after lap, better lap times than they were until obviously late in this race when you were just on cruise control at almost a 14-second lead.
Yeah, it just goes back to that. Once I figured it out, just kind of keeping the pace under control in the middle of the corner, and then just being patient with the throttle coming out. And once I figured out how to do it, I practiced that in practice, and I realized that the tires would hold on throughout the entire fuel run, and times wouldn't fall off too much. So I realized that you could drive it pretty much like you did the first lap the whole way through. So that's what I did. And I told my teammate there, is like, the more brake is involved in the track, I feel like the more advantage that I have when it comes to it, because I'm really a road racer at heart. So I like the braking, and so I think that gives me an advantage too.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely seemed like whatever it was just pure magic here at the Milwaukee Mile for you, as you're able to pick up another big win, as you were off last week. Obviously, you were down in Daytona. You weren't back home yet, so you didn't get the opportunity to race there at Dover and try to keep your perfect, win record here in the playoffs alive. But, even though you missed last week, out of the last 6 playoff races that you've been a part of, going back to last season, you're 6 for 6 here, man. What is the magic? What is going on here? Because you were able to win the final 3 races last year and virtually the first 3 playoff races of this year for yourself. You're able to find victory lane in all 6 of those races now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I think the streak will definitely come in to an end next week at Talladega, but all I could say is that I start preparing more, I practice more, and study more. So that's just kind of my method, and just come prepared. That's all I can do.
Absolutely. Well, you were definitely prepared for this one as another big dub for that Metamorphosis machine, number 18 ride. Jacob, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the Speedway?
I just want to thank the sponsor, Metamorphosis Machine. Thanks for supporting us, and I just want to give a shout out to, I got some family in town that we're watching, so appreciate them tuning in and supporting us and cheering me on.
Absolutely. Well, Jacob, great run, great race, brother. We can't wait to see you back in action from Talladega Super Speedway next Tuesday night. And hey, you never know, man. Maybe, the way things have been going for you, we may see you right back up here in Victory Lane.
Yeah, we hope so. Thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Jacob Grube. As Grube picks up the dub and pulls the 18 machine up and into victory lane here at the Milwaukee Miles. We'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Hey, Nick, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Nick, man, another good run, another good race for you here this afternoon. But the main name to this game was just trying to figure out what Jacob Grube was doing differently than everybody else. And unfortunately, it just seemed like, he was just in a league of his own out there on the racetrack here tonight. Normally, we say that about you, especially throughout, the first half, first 70% of this season. But all of a sudden, once the playoffs came around, he's kind of turned up the wig and has found the magic out there. And especially here at the Milwaukee Mile, man, it was all Grube today. But we saw you battling hard out there, obviously, with Bobby Blair and Chris Gilbert. And, just holding on for, a good point stay and a solid second place finish, brother. Take us back through it. And what's going through your mind now as the checkered flag's been thrown?
Yeah, hats off to Jacob. I just really wasn't mentally here. I don't know. I was just off tonight. No doubt about it, and just got to get better. This one tracks that I don't race much on here, so I don't really. Um, I don't race this track as much as all I can say is I'm not making an excuse. Jacob put his homework in, and it paid off. So we just got to clean it up. But looking forward to the next, I think 5 or 7 tracks, something like that. And I just looked at the schedule, so they look all pretty good, especially the last one.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the ones that are going to matter the most, right? Those final 3 in that championship round and trying to obviously beat and keep Jacob Grube from repeating what happened last playoffs in dominating fashion, winning all 3 of those playoff races in that championship round en route to his championship. And now you want to flip that switch and turn that around and be the one that's in victory lane all 3 of those races to claim your championship here with the HCK Beagles Racing League. But it looks like it's going to be another season between the 2 of you really just duking it out here, man, and we can't wait. Obviously, we hate to see the season come to a close, but man, those final 3 races, they're gonna be magic, man. They're gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm sure for you and Grube, and you throw in Bobby Blair, who's really turned it up here in the playoffs as well, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see who's gonna come out on top, man. Do you feel obviously? You like Atlanta, you like some of those other tracks on the schedule. Do you feel your odds are pretty good here to, still be able to steal this championship away from that 18 ride?
I got Homestead and Old Atlanta circled on my calendar. Those 2 tracks I'm pretty good at. So I'm not the great, but when it's tire wear tracks and you start to slide around and stuff, that's when it really suits my driving style. So it's like having an egg underneath the throttle. So those 2 tracks I'm definitely looking forward to. We just got to make it there.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait to see how it all plays out. And now for Milwaukee as well. I mean, we were talking to a group. He said that he was practicing yesterday. Said that he was really struggling here. He had to go and watch a YouTube video. I think you may need to shoot him a message and see if he can send you the link to that YouTube video for whatever magic he found here this afternoon. But man, still a great run, great race for you, Nick. Who'd you like to thank for another great performance out there on the racetrack?
I'd like to thank you, Aaron, for taking your time out on Tuesdays, and all the sponsors and admins that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this league on every Tuesday. So hats off to them, and yeah, and thank you for everyone for watching.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, great run, great race, man. We can't wait to see you guys back out on the racetrack for Talladega next Tuesday night and see, who's going to end up in victory lane because you just never know at Talladega, and should be a really exciting one, should be a fun one, and we can't wait to see what you guys got in store for us.
Yes, sir. You can probably bet on me finishing first and first to the infield care center.
All right, well, we'll keep that in the memory bank.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for our second place finisher, Nicholas Snyder. Snyder comes home in position number 2 here this afternoon as we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher. The 75 ride is Bobby Blair. Bobby comes home in position number 3 here. Let's get him up into the booth. Hey, Bobby, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Hey, I got you, Aaron.
Bobby, man, great run, great race for yourself here this afternoon, man. Take us back through this one. Is obviously a little bit of strategy. Looked like you were maybe saving a little bit out there on the racetrack because it seemed like on the long run, this 75 ride really came to life, and it looked like it was all going to work out pretty decently for you as he started to reel in that 5 ride of Snyder there late in the race. It looked like you got to him a couple times, just couldn't quite, make that pass and kind of heated up those tires a little bit too much where you had to fall back, wait for them to kind of cool off and mount another challenge, and you kept getting back to them, but just couldn't quite complete the pass there for second. So you got to settle in for third here. But take us back through, man, because this was, pretty good run, pretty good race back there between you and Snyder and Gilbert. You threw Brad Lane in there for a little while, man. It was pretty dicey there for the first bit.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think I was going to be running that good, and took me probably the first quarter of the race to get used to the track and figure out a line. And definitely happy with a third on the end of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can finish behind, obviously, 2 cats like Jacob Grube and Snyder, and really gave Snyder a run for his money here this afternoon. Obviously, Grube was kind of in a league of his own there. He was a rocket ship out there on the racetrack this afternoon, and I don't think anyone had anything for him. Even if we had a late race caution flag, I don't know if you guys would have been able to duke it out with him, or do you think maybe he would just pull back away and run away with it?
I think he had that race pretty in the bag. There was no way. He was off to a hot start, and lap times I was comparing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gaining on him 1 lap, but the next 5 I'm losing on him. So, like I said before, I'm happy with third. Good battle with Nick. Good battle with Chris. And overall, I think my strategy was setting the brake bias back a little more than usual and kind of saving the fronts up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, whatever it was, man, it definitely worked out nicely for you, and another podium finish for you here tonight as well to give you, some good solid points. And obviously, that's the big picture racing out there on the speedway and trying to work yourself into that championship round. With next week being a bit of a wild card at Talladega, you always want to make sure you have those points in your back pocket. And here tonight, maybe the difference maker, coming home in third, that may be enough to, maybe advance yourself in to the next round of the playoffs and battling for that championship here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think the couple tracks coming up are a good stretch of differences within each one. So it should be exciting, and hopefully we'll stay clean in Talladega.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be clean, green, and just some good hard racing bumper to bumper out there on the racetrack all night long. And we can't wait to see what you guys got in store for us. But Bobby, here tonight, man, great run, great drive. Who'd you like to thank for another podium performance out there on the racetrack?
I'm definitely the team like always, and I think everyone else. I know there's a small field of us, but we keep the racing clean, It's been fun battling different guys each week, so keep it going.
Absolutely, brother, and we can't wait to see everything unfold in the, you know, Ballad of Talladega next week for yourself, Bobby Blair, and see if you can try to get yourself a little Ricky Bobby action going, a little shake and bake with your teammates, and you find your way up here into victory lane next Tuesday night.
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, Bobby, congrats on the third place run, man, and we'll see you back out there in the next one.
Thanks, Aaron. Have a good night, man.
You too. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Bobby Blair, as Bobby comes home in that third spot. Great run, great drive there for that 75 ride, the Ridge Powersports KR Gunners machine here this evening. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to do it for us here in this one, man. We cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in, showing the love here this afternoon with the likes on the stream, any of the comments, any of the new subscribers, man. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and showing the love here this evening. And if you haven't already, it's not too late to do those. Jump into the comments section. Let us know what you thought of the broadcast. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the stream for us. And become a member of the Peacemaker family. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Become part of the fam jam here today, as we'll be back up here in the booth. We'll be back up here broadcasting again tomorrow night, as we will go from asphalt racing back to the dirt track racing, as our Wednesday night street fights dirt street stocks will be in battle tomorrow evening for an amazing night of racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming. And we can't wait to see you guys, hopefully right back up here in the grandstands, not only cheering those drivers on, but cheering me on as well up in the booth. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we'll see y'all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Vision. Planning. Possibility. At Metal Morphosis Machine, we turn ideas into engineered reality. Whether you're working with plastics, composites, ferrous or non-ferrous metals, our capabilities and vast partner network ensure no project is too big, too small, or too complex. From concept to completion, your success starts here. Discover how Metal Morphosis can elevate your machining needs today. Precision. Planning. Possibility.
Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining light so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engines scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might. Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining life so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Thrill the place, thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our only place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. In this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste leads us closer to first place. Under